Good morning, Suidlanders. How are you? We trust that you are well. A few days ago, K.W. Wilson, as I always call him, in fact his name is K.W. Miller, the American, supposed expert on turnaround strategies and power companies and sorting out banana republics, countries that are failing and the finances and so on, made yet another video in which he encouraged foreigners to leave South Africa. Just hold on a second. I can see that the light is very bad. I'm going to improve it just a little bit. Anyway, I reacted to that video on the WhatsApp groups that the ones that I run. I beg your pardon. And I have 3 WhatsApp groups. The first is dedicated to foreigners, and there's only English language stuff there, and we share a lot of stuff that is highly controversial in the South African conservative right-wing environment. The foreign audience that is sympathetic to Suidlanders tends to have a less idealistic appreciation of the world. In other words, they don't see it in black and white. They don't. They recognize more readily than South African conservatives do that for instance, maybe, just maybe, Donald Trump is not the Messiah. Whereas in South Africa, that's, we can't understand that. As far as we're concerned, if somebody says, I'm on your side, well, he must be. So they're far better at understanding, for instance, the Russia-Ukraine thing. Vladimir Putin goes for a dip in the ice once a year at some religious festival. Therefore, hey, he's got to be a great Christian. There's no ways he could just be acting. And I'm not saying that he is, but, And the other 2 groups are kind of mirrors of that. But that's the group that I talk to as my primary responsibility in my job at Suidlanders. And it's very important that the conversations that I hold with our overseas supporters should not be false or erroneous, which is not to say that we don't make mistakes, but we must always endeavor, I must always endeavor, not to fall into the trap of believing that if I say it's so, they're going to say, well, I must be right, because they won't take me seriously if I'm consistently wrong. So, K.W. Miller posted this video saying foreigners should leave South Africa. And I responded to it saying, dear friends, the video I am about to post below should not be taken too seriously. Unless I am very much mistaken, Suidlanders was the first to publicly deprecate the guy. In other words, I'm saying we were the first to say. To deprecate is to say, I disagree with you and you're wrong, but I don't want to do you harm. So it's a very gentle way of being firm in English, as opposed to criticize, chastise, and so on. Suidlanders was the first to publicly deprecate the guy as a mountebank, i.e. a quack, holding forth to a public audience from a platform for his own vanity. In plain English, a bullduster. In other words, a lot of what this guy is saying is inflated, and it's a bit dramatic, and it's a bit eccentric, which is fine. We have nothing against him, but we're not going to fall over ourselves to say he's a saint. Certainly not to the foreign audience. where you can't get away with, you know. However, I went on to say, there is a thin smattering of truth to what he is saying, inasmuch as if Eskom, our national electricity supplier, falls much lower, it is going to become damn tricky in this country. Permit me to give you a sense of perspective with merely one example alone. South Africa's the reserve of the reserve, electricity plants are a series of gas turbines. That is to say, Gerikwa and Ankerlig. Whoops. Which are not supposed to be used in the normal course of events, but in 2021, they worked overtime. There was much consternation in the media and horror among the experts. Then, in 6 months of 22, they worked twice as much as in the full year of 2021. So, in other words, Gerikwa and Ankerlig are not really supposed to be used except for emergencies. That's why they were installed. They weren't installed to be part of the base generating capacity of South Africa. They were never ever intended to be. They were only intended to be there for emergencies. Lo and behold, they've been used for baseload generation in recent years, and last year they were really used to an extent that people's eyebrows were raised. Lo and behold, in 6 months of 2022, they were used double. In half the time, they were used double. That they were used in the whole of 2021. And so they had to be shut down. They ran out of diesel. They were consuming diesel at such a rate that Jan Oberholzer, the COO of Eskom, said, we can't go on like this. We're not going to buy the diesel. End of story. You know, it's now crazy. And rightly so. Eventually, somebody put their foot down. Can you believe it? I went on to say, on the basis of that, although it is not showing very much, we are in deep doo-doo. Make no mistake about it. Today, I am experiencing 7.5 hours of electricity cuts on a Sunday, when there shouldn't be much demand. Therefore, the system should cope with a Sunday easily. Now, you may have heard that our presidency is in a severe crisis because the head of our National Intelligence Agency, although it now goes by another name, betrayed the president to the police. Yes, the president did indeed commit a number of serious crimes, but the fact that the head of intelligence betrayed him reveals the extent of the ferocious infighting going on in the ANC at the moment. So, K.W. Wilson, actually K.W. Miller, is indeed a Mountie-back. You know, he's saying, leave the country, leave the country. But if our president, and we would say, yeah, you don't have to leave the country today, relax. But if our presidency wobbles anymore, and if that leads to a factional fight, a bloodier fight than exists at present, and nationwide violent protest, coinciding again with an Eskom crisis or a more severe Eskom crisis, then it is dead certain that we'll experience a lack of faith. So foreigners, foreign investors, foreign markets, international markets, local investors, local financiers experiencing a lack of faith, / inflation, / food crisis, and that could transpire to be terminal for South Africa. Now, I posted the video after that preamble, and then I sort of felt that I hadn't explained something in my preamble very well, so I gave a postscript, and I'll read you now the postscript. Suidlanders would put it this way: there is absolutely no need for foreigners to leave South Africa now, and there probably shall not be for at least, regardless of almost anything, another 4 months, if not longer than a year. However, if you witness an Eskom crash, a currency crisis, a food crisis, or widespread violent protests pertaining to a coup d'etat or similar, then you should get on your bicycles and pedal as hard as you can. South Africa is now a keg of gunpowder, and when it goes off, it is going to go off rapidly and severely. It is not going to be some quaint little Russia-Ukraine type of war. And what I was trying to say there is that we don't think that people like K.W. Miller should make statements like, all foreigners should leave South Africa now. This is from a few days ago. It's time to get out right now. You've got to go. It's the end. Spare yourselves. Save your loved ones. Now go. That is why I called him a mountebank. Or a blowhard, if you like. Or histrionic. In English, you get dramatic, melodramatic, histrionic is the highest echelon of exaggeration and drama and what have you in the English language. However, there is some truth to what he's saying, in as much as he could be proven right the day after tomorrow. If, let's say for instance, Cyril Ramaphosa suddenly resigned, which he is apparently not going to do, and there was a power vacuum, and that power vacuum resulted in such a vicious fight in the ANC elections at Nasrec from the 16th to the 20th of December, in 8 days' time, that the elections were void and the country was without a president, and David Mabuza had to step in as the deputy president. Now that might sound preposterous to you, but it hasn't been preposterous on the literally thousands of occasions that it has occurred at branch level in the ANC in recent years. 1,555 branch elections of the 2,979 of the past few months. They've had branch elections. 1,555 of 2,979 were voided. And this has been an ongoing problem in the ANC since forever. What is more, if you have been a good observer of these things, most of us try to ignore them. I certainly do. I can't bear to follow the African National Congress too closely. But the same has occurred on many occasions at provincial level. Why shouldn't it occur under these very special circumstances in the history of South Africa at the ANC's national level? It's quite possible. Maybe not probable, but possible. So if he resigned, the ANC was without a president. If he recused him, I beg your pardon. They voted. Voting didn't work out. Cyril's out, and somehow we've got David Mabuza in. And then we had a minor currency crisis, and the rand went to 30 to the dollar, not 300 or 300 million, billion, trillion Zimbabwe dollars, just 30 to the dollar. Petrol went up to 50 rand a litre, and it was prohibitive for 1/5, 1 out of 5, 19 point something percent of all of the world's AIDS patients to go to hospital to get their antiretrovirals. In other words, the price of taxi fare has gone up by whatever amount, the value of money is decreased by whatever amount, and you've got 1/5 of the world's AIDS patients can't even get to the hospital. That was revealed in 2017 by Dr. Mark Tomlinson at the 19th Annual AIDS Conference in, I believe, Stellenbosch, could it have been October? I think maybe. 1/5 of the world's AIDS patients are here. That's besides everybody else, besides all of the poor, besides the squatters, besides the people who are on SASSA grants, which is now, I believe, is it 23 million? 23? 22 million people? And let's say that that combines with Eskom load shedding, as we've been promised is possible, of not stage 4 like I'm experiencing, like we're all experiencing today, Wednesday the 7th of December, with, I beg your pardon, with 7.5 hours of power cuts, but let's say stage 8 or 10, and the power cuts are 15 hours a day, or whatever. And let's say that it's winter and it's cold, and Julius Malema believes that it's high time that he instigate the revolution and the slaughter of all whites that he has promised us. And if you're a liberal watching this because you hate me or for whatever other reason, and you don't know what I'm talking about, go and look it up. No, you don't know. Either you really, really, really know, or you don't know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the interview with the Indian guy, not what he said in front of Newcastle Magistrates Courts on Thursday, the 6th of November 2016. Then, foreigners must leave South Africa at once. Then, K.W. Miller's warning will be timeous. That's about it. Thanks for watching the video. Please like, share, subscribe, and support us. We need the support. You can visit Suidlanders.org, enter, just as easy as that, and then on that home page, you scroll to the bottom, and there are a number of means by which you can support us financially to do this difficult work. Thank you very much. Goodbye. God bless you.